2, 3. Hey everyone, this is Career Coach Mo Faul. I am your kick-ass career coach, bringing your soul to work guarantees that you're going to have a kick-ass career and life. And we're here to talk with Kim White, one of my kick-ass graduates. I'm so excited. Hey Kim, how are you?
Hey Mo, good to talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks. So Kim and I are across the state. We're both here in Florida, kind of suffering through the winter. And Kim, yeah, I know. everyone in colder weather can kind of cry for us. Hey, I made the choice to move down here, so you know we have choices, people.
Right.
So Kim found her way to my and into my kick-ass career program, and I wanted to talk about her story because she's one of the women who just absolutely delighted me and the work I do with landing her dream job. And we were just talking a little bit earlier, and I won't say anything, Kim, I'll let you share it. It's just so wonderful to watch women go from kind of like lost to totally shining. And Kim, when you stumbled upon my work, kind of what was going on with your career and your life, just kind of paint that picture for us. What was happening for Kim months ago?
Well, I was really in a transition place. I had done kind of web project management for many years, for over a decade, and felt like I had kind of done everything there and wasn't feeling challenged. I had started a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, which I was really enjoying, very excited about it. A year into that program, I really started to feel like I was ready to do work that connected kind of my past experience and what I was studying. So I took a pretty big leap, which was to quit the job that I had, which was a terrific job at a terrific company.
Yeah.
Very comfortable, but didn't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
So I left that job and started to look for a new one. And I did hire, somebody else to kind of help me out. And we reworked my resume, which was good. We reworked my LinkedIn profile, but I just wasn't getting any responses. And really, some of the decisions that we made about how to rework how we presented me started to feel less and less comfortable. For example, I was encouraged to downplay that I had run my own business, which was something I was really proud of.
Wow, yeah.
And had learned a lot from, and I thought there was a lot that I could apply to any job from what I learned.
Yeah.
So little things like that started to not feel comfortable, and I really wasn't getting a lot of responses. I was doing resumes, I was working LinkedIn, I was hitting my connections, but not a lot was happening. And I was really kind of starting to panic, not panic in that it wasn't happening fast enough, but I felt that it was wrong. That's kind of where the panic was coming from. And I started asking every day, like, somebody showed me something. Like, what? How can I get through this?
Yeah.
And on Facebook one day, Mo shows up and it's join your webinar in 7 minutes. And I looked at my watch and I'm like, well, I don't have anything to do. She looks interesting. I will join. So I did, and hooked immediately. You're professional. Sounded like you know what you were talking about. Loved the energy and the positivity, because one of the things I kept running into in advice for how to land a job was so much negativity. Well, people aren't going to hire you for this reason. They're going to discriminate because of age. It was so negative.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it at all. In fact, I didn't.
Right.
So suddenly, here you were, very upbeat, saying, I can help you, and you were smiling, and like, I think this could be it. So I did the clarity call, sold by the end of the clarity call. I think I could have even stopped at the clarity call. I got a lot out of it. So I really appreciated that, and so that was me before.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I remember, when you talk, well, let me just talk about what you talked about. So what you're talking about to me is that the advice that you were getting, God bless them, was bringing you off of your alignment. It was away from your authenticity.
Yes.
And
pretend to be this thing because this thing will get you hired. People will look down on you being creative. They'll look down on you for running your business. They'll look down on you if you look too old. You know,
I'm shriveling up just thinking about it. As you know, that's the opposite of the work I do.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and I'm not sure if you were in the program at the same time. I kind of had a group of women who were up through mid 60s, sometime in the summer, and this whole ageism thing started happening, and I just don't pay attention to that stuff because, frankly, to me, the treasure chest gets deeper and richer as we spend decades and decades in experience. The work I do is all about mindset. And when we are told to be a certain way that is not lining up with our authenticity, we're actually decreasing our vibrational equivalent, and we are likely not to attract anything. And so many people, by the time they come to me, they've been unemployed for X number of years, having either been tossed out of a job or maybe quit, or maybe there's a buyout. And they have shrunk their vibrational level so low that nothing's coming. And it's like instantaneously, right after the clarity call, Mo, you won't believe it, 3 recruiters called me yesterday. And just saying yes to yourself is, to me, the biggest decision. And we don't have to divulge specifics, but it's an investment to work with me. And that level of commitment is exactly what the universe responds to. It's like, oh, Kim White decided to choose herself and not play small anymore. A couple of weeks, you're opening your mission statement, you're getting your core values. How did that begin to feel for you to really see yourself in the mirror in the true way of who you are?
I think that was really pivotal for me because it and you have to bring yourself to it. So I had to be willing to be really honest and kind of forget that stuff that I had worked on before and say, you know what, I don't care if it sounds crazy, that I can be creative and do something with learning and something with project management and something with all this industrial organizational psychology. Like that sounds kind of weird and so, like, who would put all those things together? But I don't care.
Right.
That's who I am. This is me. And that module in particular forced me to say, this is what I want. I don't care if it makes any sense to anybody else. It's what I want.
Yeah. And I have a tagline, suspending disbelief. So when you're in the midst of creating what you want, and that's, the second module that I have in my program, we won't divulge too much because it's private information, folks. As Kim was going through deciding what she wanted, and it came from her soul and her creativity. And of course, she had to look over here. Do I have the education, expertise, and experience to make that valid? As we build that up, the gremlins come rushing in. Who are you to want all of that? There's nothing like that exists in the universe. You should be playing safe. So all these things start percolating up. Is that true? Who are you to want all of that, says the big voice from the sky.
Yeah, I mean, and the gremlins are experts, right? The gremlins are masters of what they do.
Yes.
Everything from, you don't have any experience. You're not going to be the best. You're not the best. So who would hire you? Well, who is the best? One person out of 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, right? So lots of people get hired that aren't the best.
Exactly.
So yeah, the gremlins have come up with all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And some of it's from you, some of it's from other people.
Yes.
Some of it's the negative voices around you.
We give other people permission to take up residence in our head. And sometimes we don't even realize that we've given them permission until we bring up our own inner strength enough that the inner being of us gets a stronger voice. And now all of a sudden there's competition for the gremlins. Before, the gremlins were just there and it was just like, that's the way life is. Then we increase our voice inside. All of a sudden the gremlins have someone to like clash with. What do you mean I'm not worth it? Of course I am. I'm powerful. I'm strong. I'm smart. No, you're not. All these years you haven't been feeling that way. What are you doing? How I should have hand puppets. Matter of fact, I think that's what I'm going to do.
I like it.
So Kim, in just kind of talking about, decades of a career, successes along your career, launching into this new idea of redefining yourself, what were some of the gremlins or some of the ways that you kind of maybe lost track of your power over the years?
I think really just getting caught up. One, we talk a lot in the course about scarcity.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for me. But not just, for me, it wasn't necessarily financial scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
It became time scarcity.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was and you talked me off of a few cliffs on this subject,
Yeah.
where I would put these demands on time. It's got to happen by this date. It needed to happen by this date. Time is running out.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of things, in my life behind why I have that time scarcity, but really kind of dealing with what I want, getting there, and letting go of the how. That was huge for me.
Yeah.
And really, something that we haven't talked about yet that was really key is that support of the other women in the group.
Yes.
Because as you said, you get to that point where, you got the gremlin saying, you're never going to get a job. And then you got you going, but Mo says I can. When that happens, when those two voices start to argue, it becomes very emotional. You can feel a little like, who am I? Like you're bouncing around. And the support from the other women becomes really key in helping you get through that.
Yes. And not only are they supporting you, but you're hearing their journey that sounds kind of familiar. And so you're realizing I'm not alone on this journey. And sometimes their angle isn't exactly your angle, but what they have to share and what I have to coach them on is an angle that helps support you. And you wouldn't have maybe asked a question and gotten some similar answers. So you're getting all of this additional support around things that maybe you wouldn't have asked it quite that way. And then something comes in to help you. Now, as you know, all along in the course, all of a sudden, I'm coaching you on one of the calls and you say, Mo, something today. And I said, oh, what's that, Kim? I made a choice for myself today. And do you remember that story?
Yeah. So I'd been in a place the past few years, as I said, of kind of sticking with something. I had a plan, but it wasn't quite there yet. I was working really hard, working full time and working on any kind of a degree. Master's degree has a research thesis along with it. It's a little more intensive. So kind of not having much of a personal life, if any, and really just sort of sacrificing all over for everybody else. And one day, it was, I think I did a module and there was a call. And the next day, I think it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I'm like, you know what? I have a lot to do this afternoon, but I don't care. There's a Beatles museum, huge Beatles fan, Dunedin, Florida, for whatever reason, has this awesome Beatles museum. Go to the museum. There's an ice cream shop across the street. I'm going to have myself some ice cream. I'm going to walk to the water. Blessed to live in Florida. And go to the water and just have an afternoon. So I ended up, I went, took the afternoon off, went to the museum, had a blast. Talked to this wonderful gentleman who grew up with the Beatles, had personal story. It was such a treat for me. He was a great guy. Walked across the street, got my ice cream, walked to the water. There's some cute little shops in the area. I stopped in some shops, had a great conversation with a wonderful lady. Just really had a day of it. Had this incredible day. I probably felt 20, 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Just physically, emotionally, just released. Because I put me first. For the first time in probably a long time. Even though, going to school is about me and having a job and paying the bills is about me. those weren't necessarily, those were logical choices.
Yes.
Going to have some ice cream was kind of an emotional choice. So it was a big breakthrough for me, definitely. And after that, boy, things just started to happen, didn't they? Like they
Yes, they did.
right after
Yes,
that,
they did.
boom, it was like
Yeah.
an avalanche.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things that is to me important about that breakthrough, and you said it, I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into it, is your obligations were kind of for you. So I'm going to school for myself. I'm doing this for myself, but it's intellectual, it's logical, it's practical. Okay? So all of this stuff is kind of like external to you. All of a sudden you had this enlightened moment of taking care of the internal you, doing something for pleasure and joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I see women make that choice, all of a sudden the inner being goes, ah, and you never forget the feeling.
That's right.
And that is a feeling of reference point. So that feeling of inner joy and happiness and alignment and authenticity is now a point of reference for everything that is either in alignment with who you are or not. So now we have this really big GPS focal point. When I had that ice cream, I felt a certain way, and that felt great. And my inner being was happy. I was joyous. I felt 20, 30 pounds lighter. I was speaking to strangers. I was truly me.
That's it, exactly.
And you spent a few hours luxuriating in that feeling and that sense of authentically being you. Vibrational level, vibrational level, vibrational level. The soul starts to shine in a way. And not only did you talk to strangers, but strangers were attracted to your energy. You felt validated and seen and recognized for being a soul who was happy and joyful. That is just like a priceless moment. And I will never, ever forget the story, because when you translated it to me, the coach, over one of our group coaching calls, I felt the vibrational truth. I felt the energy of truth, and I knew, and you may have seen this in some other women who were in the workshop with you, I knew at that point that you were inches away from getting exactly what you really wanted. And that was pretty right? Yeah. All of a sudden, what happens? All of a sudden. What happens with your job search at that point?
So I don't even think it was a week after that a job that had kind of come my way through a friend is a, hey, you know, I think you might be interested in this. I had pursued it. It didn't go anywhere. It came back. And when it had come around the first time, I thought, oh, I'm so perfect for that. It's like, this is everything I asked for. I'm perfect for it. And it disappeared. You know, I didn't hear anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know, no problem. That happens. But there it was again, all of a sudden, came back. You know, we
all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, we pursued somebody, didn't work out. And this person says, we should talk to you. So will you talk to us? Absolutely, I'll talk to you. And began the interview process. And it actually wasn't just that job. There were 2 or 3 others as well that I was interviewing.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden I went from, and you're right, I do remember other women in the course going through this before me, where they would call in and go, recruiters, phones ringing off the wall. And it happened to me, like one week, I think there was a day where I was on the phone with one recruiter and 2 other ones were leaving me messages. And somebody else emailing, you know, for an interview. So it really did just, it was starting to steamroll. And I 150% believe it was that alignment. It's especially, you know, to say that a job comes to you is one thing, but to say that like that perfect job passed you by, but then went, turn around, wait,
right
back there waiting for us, and it went back and got me.
Yes.
Pretty amazing.
Yes. And so you interview, it went well. And by the way, this dream job is like close to you. I mean, that to me was the other like really astounding thing. this international learning and development firm is like, happens to be like literally in your backyard, right? I mean, it's
Well, yeah, it's a virtual company. So,
right.
and there are some people here, and the
Yeah.
recruiter was actually, here in Florida. So it turned out that even though it was in a way this physically very remote thing, that wasn't a problem.
Right.
So again, that's one of those things, the gremlin could say, well, there's nothing in Florida like that. Well, the gremlin doesn't know anything.
Right. Those gremlins don't know crap.
These virtual companies now and remote working.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can tap into from just about anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it turned out that, I was really worried about commute because, being a student working full time,
Yeah.
commuting in Florida, it's a peninsula. It's not easy sometimes to get around
Right.
very quickly.
Right.
So it's a virtual company and I work from home. So now commute's not a problem anymore.
So great. I think that there's another little story piece that I don't know how much we want to say about this, but you wanted to work in a collaborative environment.
Yes.
And let's just say that there was a little bit of, going back to that time scarcity, there was a little bit of a time lag about a final decision.
Yeah.
And the type A, let's get this done,
Yeah.
Kim, kind of came to the forefront. And I don't know if you want to say it or I should say it, but where were you kind of like when the final offer was kind of somewhat in limbo?
Yeah, I was, you put these parameters on something and when you hear yourself start to say should, that's when there's a problem. I think Gene says, should on yourself.
Yeah, right.
That means you're starting to lay down the how, which, I think
Yep.
I've been very good at in the past, putting down that how. It ought to happen like this.
Yeah.
So it got to, it was a very intensive interview process, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just
Right.
is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'd gone through several interviews and each one was going terrific. And I was feeling, better and better and more excited and just getting hungrier and hungrier for the opportunity. And then, I think that little gremlin showed up and like, it's taking too long. Yeah, why is this taking so long? and I just got kind of crabby about the whole thing. I joined the call and I complained to Mo. No, you know what? I'm done. I'm moved. I've got these other things, these other interviews. They're going well. I'm moving on. I think that's what I said. I'm moving on. Kim, tell me about this. So I started telling you about the company and the interview process. And you said the most powerful thing. You said, this could be really good for you. And it really pushed me back for a minute. And I thought, you know what? She's right. And why am I in a hurry anyway? Like, if this is a really good opportunity, is it not worth waiting to see how this turns out? Like, where's the crabbiness coming from?
Right.
And a company that is so thoughtful about who they hire,
Yeah.
whether or not they connect with that person,
Yeah.
is exactly, as you said, really good for me.
Yeah.
It is what I was looking for. And I think I just kind of lost track of, it was a bit of my own medicine coming back to me. Like, that's really what I was asking for, was an organization where people were very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Intelligence and knowledge was a part of my core values and part of my gifts and
Yep.
what I wanted to resonate with. So
Yes.
I actually found it, but then, I'm like, oh, don't like it now that it's not working out for me the way I thought it would. Your coaching was really, really pivotal at that moment, because I think I might have continued to spiral. Then I will never mind, and if they had reached back out to me, maybe I would have said, no, who knows? I mean, that's conjecture.
Right.
But it was great to have that coach in that moment so that I didn't keep going down the negative path. And as soon as you said, you know what, this is really good for you, let go of, this, I think I had a judgment, like by the end of this month, I want
Yeah, you did.
let go of the how. And so I did. I listened. I'm coachable. So
Yeah.
I let go of it. And again, less than a week, there was the offer. So it did work out. it happened.
As soon as we let go and allow things to come toward us, see, and people who are good doers and good, like, get stuff done, which is a lot of the women, as you know, that I work with, like, let's get stuff done, let's get stuff done. We're pushing against the universe all the time, and sometimes we have to yield and allow. And you did such a great job. And yes, you were very coachable, which was one of the very delightful aspects of working with you, is that when we allow someone else's eyes to see something at an angle, and of course I get to know you and everyone else in the workshop because you're opening up who you are, and we're all talking about who we are at a very core level. So it's not an intellectual challenge. It's I know who Kim is. I know what's going on with her. This is something that might be very good. And the job was so aligned. So when the job's aligned, you've got to keep your vibrational level up and keep yourself in a readiness and an allowing state. And you did such a brilliant job with that. And you've been there for a couple months now. How's it going?
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I have several moments every day where I just say, I can't believe this is what I'm doing. I can't believe this is my job. I have these great conversations. I had a terrific conversation with a gentleman this morning, runs a software company. It's all geared around learning and training and employee engagement, which was one of my favorite topics from my master's degree. And we had a terrific conversation. I just had these goosebump moments the whole time I was talking. I'm like, I paid for this. I'm paying for school to learn this sort of thing, but now I'm actually working with somebody who's out there in the field, and I'm getting paid to learn it. So it's a treat repeatedly each day to realize how in line I am and how this is really, everything kind of led me to this position and to this company to be able to bring what I have to offer, for it to be fully appreciated. You have conversations all the time about brains, which is kind of me. I love to read things like that.
Yeah.
So it really did happen the way I wrote it out. In when I did that module where you make your mission statement, you talk about your core values, and you have to state really clearly, this is what I want. And I said I wanted a small organization, a thoughtful organization that did something related to knowledge and learning, that cared about employees, employee development. And boy, I mean, I hit the jackpot. It's exactly what I got.
Yeah, so great. You had a chance to be a cheerleader for everyone in the group as you were starting your job and still working on practicing this alignment thing, because this alignment thing is a lifelong lesson. How else has this shown up for you in your life, this sense of well-being and alignment for you? How else has it shown up?
Well, really, I think just sort of the mental space that it created. So from that ice cream moment, every year I make kind of an intention for the year. So for this year, really coming right out of ice cream moment was, my motto is going to be yes, please, which I want more of that.
Yes, please.
So when I see something that I really connect with, I want to say, yes, I really connect with that. I want more of that.
Yeah.
And even interestingly, last week, my boss happened to be in town and we got to meet. And we went to lunch with some other employee, and we were talking about our year's intention. And I was able to share, this is what my intention is. Like, that's great. Everyone's sharing their intention. So, at the company leadership meeting, they did a vision board. So, like this, it just continues to kind of to line up all the time. And my most recent class in my master's degree was reading the professor's bio, and he's got connections with the company that my company works with. And I'm like, of course he does.
Of course, this is how it goes. Of course.
And then that conversation this morning where it was perfectly aligned with what I'm studying right now in my class. I'm like, of course, so I'm having a lot of these, of course, moments where, just when I need something there it is, it shows up. And I think that's really key, whether it's professional or personal, just to continue to identify, yeah, that right there, that's for me. I want more of that.
Yeah, that's so great. And again, back to the reference point, I love it, the ice cream moment. I might have to write a blog on the ice cream moment. That would be a good one. So back to that reference point. So forever, there's this reference point that keeps getting reinforced and reinforced. And, you know, all our lives, belief systems get reinforced. And oftentimes as we go along in life, decade after decade of kind of working the grind and doing stuff for other people and raising a family, like the reinforcement is, I'll never get enough. I'll never have enough. I'll never be enough. Other people get stuff. I don't. I mean, those are the things that tend to get reinforced. And now we have this, that you are literally reinforcing, yes, please. And I think there's like a more please going on as well, that you just keep reinforcing that this is not only possible, this is life. This is how it goes. Of course, my instructor is going to have an affiliation with the company I work with. Of course, I'm going to have this delightful conversation with a client that's just going to be prickly and happy and bouncing around like just the happiest possible conversation with like-minded people. Of course, that's going to happen. It's so wonderful. And that vibrational level just keeps going up and up and up, and then more wonderful things come your way. I'm certain that there is more delight for you in your future, Kim. I am totally certain of that. And I'm just so delighted that you had the chance to share your story. It's so beautiful to know what happened in your journey while I was working with you, and the fact that you're in your dream job, you're loving life, and you're doing what you wanted to do. You put it together, and here it is. Creator. Is there anything that you would want to maybe leave with someone who's kind of like, okay, it could work for Kim because she's smart and she's got cool glasses and she lives in Florida. Like, would that really happen to me? What would be something that you would say to someone who's kind of like in that fear mode and not sure that she could really have what you have? What would you say to her?
I would say, you know, one of the things that really impressed me early on, and I think that really sets this program apart from anything else you might consider doing, is that it is a system, right? So there are modules, and it's not just, it might sound, maybe if you just watch a few of these videos, like, oh, maybe it sounds all spiritual, or it sounds all touchy-feely. It is actually all aspects, right? So it is systematic and logical, and that really resonated with me. I'm a pretty organized, logical person. So there are things to learn, and then there are activities, there are things to think about, there are things to do, there's creative things to do. Then there's the social part. There's talking during the calls, listening during the calls, being on Facebook, being willing to share, being willing to support other people. So it really runs the gamut of, you know, spiritual, emotional. There's NLP, so it's physical. It really is a whole program. So there's enough. It's so robust that you're going to connect. You might not connect with the same pieces that I did.
Yeah.
But you will connect in a way that's unique to you, and you will hit connections with the right things. Like one of the things I used, we didn't talk about, but the NLP training, I used before interviews, and like
so good.
It was so helpful to me.
Yes.
A lot of my interviews were phone or video, so I actually did kind of have that space in my home to do that practice really quickly right before an interview. So there's so many tools. I just guarantee that something is going to connect with you and will hit home and will be so useful. And I have found not just useful to get the job, but useful to keep the job, and really useful to all aspects of your life. I mean, that's what, you know, like I'll be the biggest fan forever, because I'll be using all of these tools forever. And it really is about, you know, the tools, the coaching, and the support. Yeah.
Well, thank you for all of that. That's awesome. You know, I'm thinking I got to go pull up your elevator pitch in the Facebook group and see what that was, because that was before.
I never got a chance to post it, because right after I wrote it, I was using it. in interviews. So I was doing all these video interviews using my pitch, telling my story about, I was a little girl and I would tell my mom, I would draw out a toy and I would go collect all the materials, the
Yeah.
buttons, the thread, and I'd walk through the plan and be like, Mom, here's my plan for my toy. I need you to make this. I'd go to the sewing machine with her, I'd monitor her work and give her feedback. I was a project manager at 5 years old. When I got bigger, that's all that happened. I got so,
I love that story.
and I would use all the different pieces of my elevator pitch. This is what I can do for you. And the practice of writing that, again, I never even did record it and post it because I was thrown so quickly into actually using it. But I did use it. I used it every single interview. And I always got a laugh when I told, Mom, here's what I need you to do. I always got a big laugh. I was 5 and I was this hassling my mom like a project manager.
Yeah.
But that gave people confidence that, hey, this woman was making products when she was 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you know, but I'll say it for the folks who are watching this interview, when you tell that story, it's coming from here. And your level of authenticity and credibility is just off the charts. And as you know, that's the whole point of that exercise in my workshop, is to really get completely solidly connected with who you are at a deep level and connect the work that you do. And I do remember that story. I must have, I'm a visual thinker, so probably when we were talking about that on one of the coaching calls, I played the video in my mind about this little girl who was kind of like overseeing her mom, and that sort of really, what a great story. It resonates. Kim, again, I am so delighted that you joined me on this interview, and I can't wait to share your story, your success. I can't wait to keep track of you. And as you know, we have a grad group for all the ladies, and it's just so much fun to just keep watching the continued successes. And some women, we fall down and scrape our knee. Everyone's there to lift everyone up. So that's one of the most fun things too, that life keeps going on. So all the best to you and everything that you're doing, and continued delights come to you, and may your year be filled with all of yes pleases. That's really, really wonderful. Thanks again for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.